Okay, so I want to first welcome everyone to the Ancestral Renewal and Communication Part 1 class. Some of you logged in a bit early, so I'm going to assume that you all were just so excited you logged in to the other class at 6:30. So I'm sure that that was the case. So nonetheless, I want to welcome everyone to this class. It's going to be an exciting class. I'm actually very excited. I'm always excited to teach classes, period. But I'm always excited when a new class starts because that means that for me, it's like going on a new adventure because no one class is the same as the prior classes because it's a totally new group of people and everyone brings to the class their own experiences. Everybody brings their own medicine. And so that's what makes the classes so fun. So now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to teach you all the traditional greetings. And so when we start class, I'll always start class. Well, not always, when I remember, but 99.9% of the time I do remember. I always start the class with the traditional greeting. And so that greeting will be, I'll say good evening first, and then you'll reply. And so I'll teach you all the greetings that I'll do. So to say, well, let me back up before I do that. So the language I'm going to teach you is actually Dagbani because it comes from the Dagbani people in northern Ghana. And so so those are going to be the greetings or the language that you're going to learn in regards to the greetings. So I'll come into class and I will say Anawula. So Aniwula means good evening. And so it's spelled Aniwula, Aniwula. And it means good evening. And the reply to good evening is nah. It's not nah, because nah in AA means something totally different than nah, which is N apostrophe NAA. And so your response is going to be nah, which is N apostrophe NAA. And that's how you reply or you respond to Aniwula. Okay? So we'll just do just a quick practice run. And so everybody get ready to unmute your phones. And so I'm going to greet everyone and then just do the reply. So the greeting is Aniwula.
Nah.
Nah.
Okay, y'all didn't quite sound like sick sheep and goats. So okay, that's not too bad. I've had some classes, they sound like a bunch of sick goats or something like that. But yes, that was good enough. Y'all get a passing grade on that one. Okay. So the second greeting I'm going to give is so usually in tradition, once you say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever, and I'll actually, well, you know what? I'll come back later and teach you all good morning and good afternoon. So once you do that, regardless of the time of the day, doesn't matter what time of day it is, you will always ask, how did you dream? How did you sleep? Because that tells a lot. And so to ask that question is Agbira. And so when you're speaking to one person, you would say Agbira, and that's spelled Agbeirah, Agbira. Now make sure that you say Agbira and not Abira. Abira means like that's like asking someone, are you well or are you sick? And it could be an insult. What's wrong with you? Like that. And so you want to make sure that you say Agbira, Agbeirah. And that's how did you dream or how did you sleep? Now, and that's when you're speaking to one person. That's singular. If you're speaking to a group of people, you would say Tibira, Tibhira, Tibira, or Tibira, Tib, yeah, Tibira. And that's when you're speaking to a group. So what I would say to you all is Tibira, because I'm speaking to a group of you and not just one person.
Better.
Okay? So, one second. So we're gonna do a quick dry run with that one also. So I'm gonna take it from the top. Adiwula.
No.
Nah.
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 Now y'all getting that sick goat syndrome, but we don't let it slide. So you hold on to the N and the A. So it's nah, like that.
Nah.
Yeah, there you go.
Nah.
That's better. That's better. Y'all will get it right over time. It's just a dry run. And so when I didn't give you all the response to how'd you dream? Jeez.
Right.
Okay. So the response to Tabira or Agbira is Gombeni. Is Gombeni. Gombeni.
Gombeni.
Yes. That means that I slept well. That's what it means. So I say to you all, Tabira, what you gonna say?
Gombeni.
Gombeni.
There you go.
Gombeni.
Now,
Company.
Crazy.
there you go. So now, the third greeting is, the third thing you would say to someone is Sokam Bewula, and it's spelled Sokam. Sokam is one word.
SOKM.
AM, Sokam.
Okay, Sokam.
The second word is Bewula, and that's spelled BEWULA. Bewula. So Sokam Bewula.
Sokam Bewula.
And that's like a general question, like how's everyone? Like how's your friends? Blah blah blah. Like how's everyone?
Sukambewula.
And so the response is Sokam, SOKAM. That's the first word. Second word is Mali, MALI, Mali. The third word is Alafe, ALAAFIE. So it's Sokamali Alafe. So
Sokam Male Alafe.
yes, that means everyone is well. Now, the next greeting. So it's interesting. When you go to Ghana, when you meet someone, these are all the questions they're going to ask you back to back to back to back to back. So the next one is Ying Bewula. and it's spelled Y, I, yeah. I'm not joking with the yeah, but they have their own alphabet. But just say Y-I-N-G. We'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Ying,
Ying.
aha, is the first word. The second word is Bewula. And that's asking, how is your family doing? And the response to that is Ying, Y-I-N-G, Mali, M-A-L-I, Alafe, A-L-A-A-F-I-E. So it would be Ying Bewula, and your response would be Ying Mali Alafe.
Okay.
So then the final question
What
is,
does that mean?
one second. So the final question is Tuma Bewula, which is spelled T-U-M-A, Tuma, and Bewula, B-E-W-A-L-A. I mean, A-L-I, excuse me, Bewula. No, I spelled that wrong. B-E-W-U-L-I, Bewula. U-L-A. I'm sorry, I'm just totally hacking it up. Let me, it's B-E-W-U-L-A, Bewula. And that means how is work, or how was work. And the response to that is Tuma Mali Alafe. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we're going to take this from the top, starting with Aniwula. So, Aniwula.
Nah.
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 Tabira.
Gomben.
Agbe? No. Gobini?
Gombeni.
Gomben.
Yeah. Sokombewula.
Sokamali.
Yingbewula.
Ying Mali.
And Tuma Bewula. And then my response, once you say all of that, is imbo, 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 imbo. That means that's good. That's very good. Yep. IMBO means that's good.
Hey, Boo Boo.
Imbo.
Are you not getting on the call?
Nah, I don't think I'm getting on the call tonight.
Oh.
Okay. So, and then I'll teach some other stuff as we go through class, because there's some other little greetings as well, but I'll teach those as we go along. But those are the core greetings. Now, one of the things about tradition is when an elder or chief or somebody like that greets you, you never ask them how did they sleep. That's disrespectful. So you're never asking that question at all. And you let them ask you all the questions, and then they'll say, mbo, mbo, mbo. And then you just go on to have whatever conversation you need to have, okay? Okay, now, we got those greetings out of the way. So, just so everybody is on the same page, within this ancestor class, which is going to be a lot of fun, by the way, you're going to learn the who, what, when, where, how of ancestors, period. Even if you have a working knowledge of ancestors, I promise you that there is something in this class for you that you don't know about or that you can add on to your current knowledge base. That's very important. Because one of the things, even with people who have a working knowledge of ancestors, is how to actually use your ancestors to work in your life. Like, what's the actual purpose of your ancestors? And a lot of times people have a vast working knowledge of ancestors, but are not really clear about their purpose. And why would you even call upon your ancestors? Why would you even do that? Why would they even adhere to your requests? Why would they do that? And you would call upon your ancestors because they serve three purposes. I'm gonna say these purposes, and then I'm gonna do some more intro stuff. Number one, our ancestors are here to help us to navigate through life. That's number one. Number two, they're here to help us to fulfill upon the purpose in which we agreed to fulfill upon and the purpose in which they sent us here to fulfill upon. We didn't just wind up here in this lifetime for the sake of being here. There was a contract that was signed. There was an agreement. We agreed to do X. They agreed to help us to fulfill upon X, whatever X is. So there's a partnership that exists. And number three, to help us to govern or to manage our relationships. A lot of times we in bad relationships because we did not consult with our ancestors. And sometimes, even after that consultation, our relationships are going astray because we're not getting proper direction from our ancestors and having them to assist us and showing us what to do to better those relationships. That's very, 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 very important, vitally important. And so those three things will generally cover every aspect of your life, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay? Now, within this course, you will learn how to utilize your ancestors in all three of those aspects to have your life work. Because our ancestors are literally, not figuratively, they are literally standing around waiting for us to give them something to do. And we're running around doing everything we can to control life. And life could be so much simpler if we say, hey, you know what? Why don't you go do this? Handle this situation. Ain't got time for that. And you just sit back and watch them handle the situation. It's really that simple. It really is. And so within this course, to help you to master those things, everyone will be assigned what in tradition is called a karim. Karim, a karim. And that just translates into teacher. That's all that means. Or guide, something like that. And so everyone will have a karim to help them navigate through this course. And so your karim is here to help you when you're having issues with your assignments, you're having issues understanding some of the concepts, and overall help guide you through. And for some people, they develop, really good friendships with their karims or karims. And they become like really close friends. And so your karim is not what they are not. They're not really a life coach, but they are a coach. And many of them are skilled at helping you navigate through life and giving you various rituals and various things to do. Some of them are like, they all are skilled at that, but that's not their purpose. And it is their discretion whether or not they want to take your relationship to that level. It's up to them. That part, they're not obligated to do that part. Okay. Now, along the way, if there is an issue that needs to be handled on a higher level, what they will do is they will set up a conversation with you and them. The three of us would be on a call to work out whatever needs to be worked out. And the Kareem is here to be an advocate for you. That's why they're here. And also, please keep in mind that your Kareems are not at your every beck and call when you need them in every moment. Because many of them are just like you all, have families, they have jobs. And so they have life happening to them also in the same way that you do. And so just keep that in mind. Okay, so any questions about anything I've said up to this point? Okay, excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So now what I want to do really quick is have the Kareems to introduce themselves really quick. I think we have several of, I think all of them are on the call for the most part. I want them to introduce themselves so you can kind of put a name with a voice or a face, because some of them are just on their phones, some of them are actually logged in through Zoom and can stream. So you can begin to do that, because everyone will be assigned a Kareem within the next, I would say 10 days or so, because I have to sit there and assign the appropriate Kareem to the student. And I have to do a divination for that. So I don't just pick people randomly.
May I ask a
That I
question?
do. in order to do that. Yes, what you got?
Earlier you were saying that we signed in early for the 5:30 class, and there was also a 6:30 class.
Oh, yes. So there's an ancestral class that ended today, and that class was at 6:30. So some people, I think they were just ready to get in class. They just jumped into class, and that class was going on. So it was.
So some of the people from the 6:30 class are in this class.
No, some of the people from this class jumped in the 6:30 class by mistake.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in California, so it's early for me. So
Oh, okay. I got
okay.
you.
I understand.
Okay. All right. That works. Okay. Let me see. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and have the Kareems very briefly just say your name. You don't necessarily have to give the history of your time in ARC. Just sort of briefly introduce yourself. That'll be cool. All right, so let me see. I will go down the list. Give me 1 second. Ayana.
Greetings, everybody. I'm Ayana. Sorry, I'm not on camera tonight. Gonna have a great time in this class. Looking forward to working with you all.
Mm-hmm. Ariana.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ariana. Raina is my mom. She's in this class. I'm so excited for you all. I'm really excited for her too. Just, yeah, you guys are gonna love it.
Thank you. Bakiba.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Akiba. Excited about this journey you guys are about to embark on. And I do want to put a plug in. If you have any children who you want to take this journey alongside of you, we are beginning our ancestor class for children, and we would love to have them on board. So I'm sure they'll talk more about that, but welcome. Good to see everybody.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let me see. Suyini, what you got?
Hello, everyone. I am Suhuyini, also known as Hana. Nice to meet you all, and I look forward to working with some of you. And this is going to be an awesome class. And just sit back and get ready. That's it.
Thank you. Shakura.
Greetings. This is Shakura. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm so happy to see so many on the call tonight that are new to wanting to get to know your ancestors better. It has been life-changing. You will never be the same. So congratulations.
Thank you. Manama.
Good evening. I'm Manama, and welcome to everyone. Welcome for coming into this classroom. I'm excited to see what you're going to be like at the end of this classroom. You're not going to even know yourselves. So again, welcome.
Thank you. Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say it's going to be a great class. It's going to be profound. As Shakura said, life-changing. You're going to feel brand new. So welcome.
Thank you. Mumina.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Mumina, and welcome to the ARC family. We're excited to have you. Hopefully you will find here what's been missing in your life, but just buckle up and hang in for the ride.
Yes, it is a ride. Nani.
Hey, everybody. Wait, I'm unmuted.
Yep.
Everybody, yes. My name is Nani, and congratulations. Thank you for making this choice. We're glad to have you a part of the community. You're in for a treat. You're gonna love every bit of it, and whatever you don't love, we'll work you through that one. But it's gonna be really great. It's always a pleasure, and so you have all of us to support you. So welcome, welcome. Glad you're here.
Ah,
Keep talking.
thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sakai.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Basically, everyone said what I wanted to say about a life-changing experience. So let me just say this. It's going to be an amazing roller coaster ride. You're going to feel like you're reborn again, and you're going to meet your ancestors all over again, even if you believe you have a relationship with them already. It's going to be so phenomenal. So phenomenal. Get ready for that extraordinary experience.
Thank you, Sakai. Wanzaligu.
Peace and love, everybody. My name is Wanzaligu, also known as Rashepsu. So basically, we are here to help you, to guide you, and to help you make sure that you have a pleasurable experience as well as, a journey in learning. So enjoy yourself.
Cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Did you hear me?
Let's see. Yelsma.
Greetings, everybody. Yasuma, also known as Jope. Looking forward to walking along this journey with you, and it's gonna be fun, exciting, and enjoy.
All right. Okay, so those are just some of the Kareems. We actually have a lot more than that. So for the reason, everyone may not have been able to join the call tonight. So now, let's get down to business. So I'm gonna first start by breaking down what is an ancestor, because a lot of people actually are not entirely clear about what an ancestor is. So an ancestor is basically someone who has transitioned. Not someone who's died, because there's no such thing as death. It's someone who's transitioned from this world to the other world. So that's one way to view ancestors. Now, what is it that has someone to be an ancestor to you, or a direct ancestor? And that is simply someone who is in your bloodline. That is a direct ancestor. Also, what makes a direct ancestor to you is when you get married, the ancestors of your spouse become your ancestors. Period. Whether we like that or not, they become your ancestors, and you have direct access to those ancestors. If you are someone, these are things, because things, well, I'll say that in a minute. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. If you are someone who has been adopted, the ancestors of your adopted family become your direct ancestors. There's something that happens spiritually that links you or that ties you to those ancestors. And you also have those ancestors who are directly in your bloodline. So you have an expanded group of ancestors, your adoptive family and your natural family, or the family that you were actually born into. So those become your ancestors. Now, we have others who can be considered as a direct ancestor, because all these things happen in the spiritual realm. It's just magical. If you have someone in your family, and the person could be you could be a part of someone else's family, where you are considered as a part of that family and no one sees you any differently. And so many of us may sometimes grow up with someone we call, I don't know, I'm going to make this name up, Aunt Josephine. But she's not really your blood aunt. She's not like you're actually your mother's sister. But she's someone who's probably been a part of your family since, your mother was a child and they grew up together and they were just very close. Something happens where that person actually becomes a part of that family from an ancestral perspective. Okay. And so what I'll do is I don't want to go too far ahead. So I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions about anything I've said so far in regards to what constitutes an ancestor. And I'll get to those ancestors who are not in your bloodline based upon the definition that I just gave. A lot of times we like to call, Sojourner Truth, Malcolm X, and all these other people. I'm going to get to that in a minute, and the best method to do that. So does anybody have any questions up to this point? If you do, you can raise your hand, and I'll call on you. Okay. Now, so we have this whole other group of ancestors who are not in our direct bloodline. However, we will choose to call upon those ancestors. For example, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going to call upon Malcolm X." I've heard people say that they're going to call upon Martin Luther King, and they're going to call upon Harriet Tubman and all these other ancestors, which is fine. However, there's a method that you want to use to do that. And I'm going to tell you why within our cultural context that we live in, it's the best method to use, as opposed to being in a traditional setting. I mean, what I mean by traditional, meaning within a traditional communal setting, is you want to call upon your ancestors first. So there's nothing wrong with calling upon Malcolm X and whomever, but you want to call your ancestors first to go out and get that particular ancestor and bring them forth. simply because that particular ancestor may not want to be bothered at all. Because you have to remember that they have consciousness. They can think just like you can think. They make choices just like you make choices. And also, not only that they may not want to be bothered, you should always have your ancestors to go out and bring any spirit, an ancestor spirit. You want to go and have them to go and deliver a message or to bring them forth. You don't want to call them directly, because you always want to have your ancestors to stand as what I call guardians at the gate, to monitor and to filter whomever comes into your space. Let them do that work. And so it's fine to call those other ancestors, but you have your ancestors to go out and to get them and to bring them forth. Any questions about any of that? Okay, good. Y'all are on it tonight. God dog it. So, what I'll go over now is how to call your ancestors. It's very easy. And what I'm gonna, let me back up. So there are multiple methods to call upon your ancestors. There's two primary methods that I use. I'm gonna give you one of those two tonight, but I'll explain both of them. One of the methods, which is the one I'm gonna give you tonight, all you need is a bowl made out of natural material, and you wanna get a new bowl or a bowl that you currently use to do spiritual work. Either one is fine. And make sure that it's made out of natural material. It could be wood, it could be calabash, it could be clay, glass. It can be made out of stone, anything made out of natural material. And you want water. You want clean drinking water. City Punch is not clean drinking water. City Punch, that's what I call water out of the faucet. It's mixed with who knows what. So that's the method I'm going to teach you all tonight. There's another method, which is actually my favorite, where you need ash, in particular, white ash. Not ash from your incense, not that ash. You need ash from wood. You need water, good drinking water. You need a rock, and you need a stick. And if you're going to do this invocation indoors, you can use a bowl. Bowl made out of natural material, same kind of bowl I mentioned in the first invocation, or the first method, rather. So what we're going to go over tonight is we're going to go over how to do an invocation using a bowl and water. And this particular method comes out of my tradition. Oh, let me back up. I didn't tell you the name of my tradition. My tradition, it is called Kali. It's spelled K-A-L-I. And the word Kali simply means tradition. That's all it means. There's no fancy mystical meaning. It just means tradition. And Kali is practiced in Ghana, primarily in northern Ghana, by the Dagbonli people. So this is how you actually do your invocation. So you want to get your bowl. You want to pour the water in the bowl. Once you pour the water in the bowl, you want to take your hand. It could be your right hand is fine. You want to take your right hand and you want to dip your hand into the water. And primarily your fingers. You don't want to necessarily put your whole hand in there. Your fingers are fine. When you dip your hand into the water, you want to flick the water on the ground, on the floor. You can flick it into a plant. If you have an altar in your home, you can flick it on the altar. The moment you start flicking the water, that is when you begin to speak. And you start your invocation by calling the names of all the ancestors that you know. So in doing so, you may know 200 ancestors, which I do know someone who has a list of 200, or you may know one, and there are people who know one. And actually, I did have a student who really didn't know any. If you know one, call that one name. That's fine. If you know none of your ancestors, you can just say ancestors, because they understand your situation. They know. And what they will do is, as time passes, they will begin to reveal themselves to you by name. So if you don't know your ancestors, they will begin to somehow let you know who they are. It never fails. That always happens. Okay? Now, once you call the names of all the ancestors that you know, you want to tell your ancestors to bring forth the ancestors that you know, but you have forgotten. And that will include anybody that you just didn't think about during the invocation, and anyone that you knew before you came into this lifetime. Now, when you do your invocation, be very intentional. Take your time and do not take shortcuts. Because it's very important that you begin to develop that connection. You begin to develop that relationship. Because you don't want your ancestors to take shortcuts with you. So don't take it with them. It's simple. Because you're developing partnership. That's what you're doing. So now, once you've told them to bring forth all the ancestors that you know but you've forgotten, this piece is extremely important. You then want to tell them to only bring forth the ancestors who are clean, because we do have unclean ancestors. Don't you worry about filtering that list. Allow your ancestors to do that work. Don't trouble yourself with that. It's a waste of time. And so I'm going to give you an example of an unclean ancestor. That would be someone who committed suicide. And they committed suicide of their own doing. What that means is they were not influenced by any outside force. They just got up one day and it's like, I'm done. For whatever reason. Those are unclean ancestors. And you don't want them around. Because they will walk the earth through eternity as bad spirits. You don't want them around. Because traditionally, within my tradition, what happens when you commit suicide is, for example, if you hang yourself, they will bury you at the spot in which you hung yourself. And there will be no burial ceremony performed for you. They just bury you and you're forgotten. And I know within the, I have a friend of mine who's Igbo. Within the Igbo tradition, what they do is when you commit suicide, they take you into the evil forest or the bad forest, and they just throw your body in there. And so you could be amongst those bad spirits, and then you're forgotten. And there's no redemption from that one at all. So make sure that you add that piece, and don't worry about who's clean or who's not. Let your ancestors do that. Because remember, you're developing a relationship with them to use them in your life to have your life work. So why worry about that one? Let them do that. And then once you have told them to bring forth only ancestors who are clean, then you would state your intentions. And your intentions are always things like, why did you call them? What do you want? What do you need? And then you state your intentions. Now, the entire time that you are speaking, you are flicking the water. You can take your time and flick the water. You don't have to flick the water at a rapid pace. Just take your time and just flick a little water as you speak. And once you have finished stating your intentions, you can close your prayer. You can say Isa, or you can say Ashe. However you want to close it is fine. Okay, do we have any questions about the invocation?
You said that you have to do that indoors?
You can do it indoors or outdoors. It doesn't matter.
I have one question. You
Yes.
said the closing is either Ashe or what was the other closing?
Isa.
How do you spell that?
It's spelled I-S-A. Isa. It means the same as Ashe.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if you're trying to honor your ancestors, are you doing all this? Like if would you invoke them and everything? Or if you're just trying to say like, oh, I'm honoring you today or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. And it is best to call them by name, because it's like if somebody were honoring you and they didn't say who they were honoring. Because remember, especially in the beginning, you want to develop a personal relationship with them on a level in which you never have. And so when you say, that's an excellent question. When you say that you are honoring them, like what does that mean for you? Give me an example of what that looks like for you.
Oh gosh. I guess I don't know, like I don't really have that much of a, I feel like I don't have that much of a relationship with them. So I feel like every time I try to talk to them, it's me like kind of honoring them, like, because I'm like not forgetting them.
Okay. Excellent. This is how you don't forget them, by giving them something to do. They want you, they want to be able to fulfill their purpose more so than being honored. Because they're not here to be honored. They're actually here to do work. Which there's nothing wrong with honoring them. Nothing, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But in order to really honor them, give them work to do. Put them on the payroll. God dog it. Mm-hmm. And you'll see how deep that relationship gets when you do that. You'll see how differently they'll show up when you do that. So, for example, I'm gonna give you this is believe it or not, you actually asked a phenomenal question. I'm gonna give you all something very simple to do to honor your ancestors, meaning putting them to work. Every single morning that you get up, do a quick invocation. And invocations, they don't take that long, 5 minutes. Now, when you start out, it may take a little longer because you're new to it. So just take your time and do it. And what I want you all to do is to begin the process of setting your context for the day. You get up in the morning. Most of us know what we're up against every day. You already know. And so you begin to lay those things out to your ancestors. And you tell them, I'm coming forth in order to set my context for the day. And I need for you to go out and create that context for me. And so if you know, for example, you have a meeting, you set the context for the meeting. You have them go out, do all that work for you. If you know that there's an antagonist that's in every meeting, someone who's contrary to everything, you tell your ancestors to allow you to speak a language that will counter anything that's contrary to your goal, so that there's nothing for that person to say. And if they do say something, it's going to sound like babble. it's going to be incomprehensible to whomever the person is speaking to. Damn, Black, you again? Anyway, carry on. Let's move on. Whatever. And so that's just a basic idea of how you begin to set your context for the day. We have days that go to hell in a handbasket because we don't set the context for the day. We just get up and we're at the mercy of life instead of having life at the mercy of us. That's two totally different ways to live your life. One is living it powerfully, and the other one is living it powerlessly. Simple. Very simple. And so I get up pretty much every morning. I don't do it 7 days a week, but at least 5 days out of the week. Probably 6. I get up Sundays, nothing to do really. But I set my context for the day. Don't just say, oh, I want to have a happy day. What does having a happy day mean? Because having a happy day means something different for everybody. What does it mean for you? What will fulfill your day? And this is gonna be beautiful. We're gonna do assignments that are going to have you exist in a certain way of being for an entire day, and you'll see how to accomplish that. It is so easy. I promise you, no one should ever walk around upset. No one should ever walk around depressed, sad. There's no reason for that to happen. The only reason it happens is because we are powerless. We have really been stripped from power, which is our ancestors. Once that's gone, you have no clue what you're standing on. You just kind of standing. That's it. Making stuff up as you go along. I'm standing on whatever people say. I don't know. I can't even think of half the stuff I've heard people say. But whatever it is, I'm always like, oh, is that right? I just kind of let them do their thing. So, we have any questions about any of that so far?
I have a question.
Yes.
So my question is a bit more just generic. You said that the name of the religion is Kali. Has there ever been any confusion with like Kali, Hindu goddess, Kali religious concepts and practices?
No.
Has there ever been that? Okay.
Mm-mm. Nah, that's an interesting question. No one's ever asked that question at all. Nope. Not at all. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned in the vocation about calling the names.
Yes.
That's just like people, relatives that have passed on, or like whose names?
Yeah. Relatives who have passed on. Yes, you just call their names. And when you do it, especially when you're starting out, just take your time and do it. And be with the experience of it. Because for some people, the moment they say a name, matter of fact, the moment they stick their hands in that water, their ancestors will rush them and just encapsulate them. And they have this this experience or this otherworldly experience before they even open their mouths. And for some people, they'll do it and they don't really feel anything initially. And so if you have an experience where you don't really feel their presence, what has more than likely happened is that as a child, you were forced to close that window to the other world. And not only did you close it, you put about 10 deadbolt locks on it, you nailed it, you name it, you did it to that door or to that window. Because the cultural context that we live in forces our children and forced us when we were children to close off that door to the other world and turn it into some spookism, something that's bad. And so for some people, it's going to take some time to find the keys to all those deadbolt locks and to unpry all of those nails that we've nailed into that window to shut it. And it takes time. And this process is not one that's quick. It requires patience. For some people, it's going to be like within a week or so. And then as time goes on, it's going to feel to them as though, wait a minute, that connection is gone. I don't feel it the way I felt it initially. And for others, you're not going to feel much of anything initially, and then all of a sudden, boom, is going to happen. And so it varies from person to person. So one of the most important things to do in this process is do not, I'm going to repeat this, do not compare your experience to anyone else's, because that is a trick. Don't fall for that trick, because it will discourage you, because you may say, man, this person is every week they're having these phenomenal experiences and I'm getting nothing. I promise you, you're getting something. If you tell me you're getting nothing, I'll show you where you're getting something. So I'm gonna give you an example. I gave an assignment. I don't remember what the assignment was, but this one of the students, she said, finally, she was like, we've been doing this class for X number of weeks, and I'm just not getting anything. And we did the last assignment. She was like, I'm getting nothing in comparison to what the other students are getting. And she said, I don't know if this is working for me. So I said, okay. I said, let's go through your week. What happened Monday, Tuesday? We went through the entire week. So then she gets to, I'm going to make this up, just say Wednesday. I don't know what day it was. She said, well, nothing happened on Wednesday. I just went to the park, walked my dog. Some man was sitting on a bench and he looked at me and he's like, you don't know who I am, do you? And I looked at him and I was like, nah, I don't. And he said, oh, well, this is who I am. And then he began to tell me things about my life that he couldn't have known. And then he said, if you want to know the answer to any other questions, come back tomorrow about the same time and I'll answer them. And she's like, I just left and went home. Finished walking my dog and went home. So she was like, I'm getting nothing. And I said, whoa, hold up, time out, let's back up a little bit. I said, now repeat what happened when you met the guy. And I said, that guy was one of your ancestors. And I said, he told you everything about you because that's what he knew about you and you don't know him. And he was showing you who he is. I said, and then he told you to come back tomorrow and he will answer any questions you have, which he actually gave you time to go home and get a list of questions to bring to him, and he will answer all of those questions. And I asked her, I said, did you go back the next day? She said, absolutely not. That was a phenomenal experience. I'm like, shoot, I wish my people come to me like that. I will have a book waiting for them the next day. I promise you. And so she didn't recognize that experience and how her ancestors showed up to her because she was comparing other people's experience to her experiences. So she couldn't see the phenomenal experiences that she was having. She couldn't see it. And so it is so important that you allow your journey to be your journey. Because your people will show up to you however they show up to you. And I promise you, they will show up. That I guarantee. I've never had an instance where people's ancestors didn't show up at all. And sometimes they will show up in a certain way initially because they don't want to overwhelm you. And I ask people this question pretty much every class, I think, but you know, when students will say, well, I'm ready for them to show up, they're not showing up, they need to show up, blah, blah, blah. They go on that little tangent. I ask the same question all the time. And that is, if you were asleep and all of a sudden you woke up and you had somebody standing over your bed, what would you do? And the first thing they say is scream and run and yell, they'll be afraid. I said, exactly. I said, that's why they're showing up to you the way they're showing up, because they don't want to overwhelm you because they know you're a chicken. They know it. They know you better than you know yourself. You think you want all these experiences, but the moment they start happening, you'll be like, "Ooh, I've gotten these phone calls for, Chief, I think I got some bad spirits in my house." I said, why? Oh, because at night, it's somebody in the kitchen. I hear pots and pans and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, those are your people. I said, you said you wanted some experience, so they're giving you some experience. I said, now, just tell them they need to be quiet. I said, I promise you they'll stop. But yeah, you know, people, like, we think we want these experiences until they happen. And so allow your people to expose you in a way that's palatable for you. That is so important. That's so very important. That is very important. So yeah, excellent question, because it actually had me address those other things. So I like that. That was good. That was good. So any other questions from anybody else?
I have one, Shakura.
Yes.
This has been 2 years now for me, but this is a new experience right here. But I'm getting ready to ask you, is there an excuse if it's stupid or naive or whatever, but is there an initiation period to being an ancestor? At what point are you able to access them or give them work, or what do you do? And this is because I have my nephew was in a horrific hit and run motorcycle accident last week, and he died on Thursday. So so he's made that transition to the next life. So at what point, or can I call on, or can the family? This has just devastated the family because it was so unexpected. So how do I help the others in the family with? I don't even know what I want to ask.
I know what you're asking. Okay. So, excellent question. So that question is a little tricky being in the diaspora, because we do not have proper burial rites performed.
Yes.
Because traditionally, what happens is the family actually goes to the person who's transitioned, goes to the body and wraps up the body or prepares and cleans and washes the body. And then 7 days later, there are rituals that are performed. Then 7 days after that, there's a whole nother set of rituals performed by the mother's side of the family. The next 7 days, the father's side of the family performs rituals. And then there is a whole nother ritual or ceremony that takes place after that. So there's already a whole month of ceremonies that take place. Ceremonies and rituals. And then there's a 40-day period. And then the family comes together after 40 days and performs a whole nother set of rituals for the person who's transitioned. And then on a year, then 1 year later, there's a whole nother set of ceremonies performed for the person who transitioned. And so we don't have that structure in place. So what I generally say to people is to wait around 40 days
And
before you start
40 days
communicating.
to do.
Go ahead.
I'll let you go ahead. You know, I'm just crazy right now. So just go ahead.
So you want to wait around 40 days before you start communicating.
Oh,
Now,
okay. That's what I wanted.
In the interim, what you want to do is, you know, there's a temporary process that I've put in place, and that's to send that person who transitioned to their ancestors who are actually sitting in between this realm and the ancestral realm or the world of ancestors. There's a whole nother space or realm that exists in between there. It's like a waiting area.
Yeah.
And so we have thousands and thousands of ancestors who are sitting in that area because they never had the proper burial rites performed. And what I generally do is have those ancestors go to get the person who transitioned. And so you can do that.
It's like, you know, when you think of
white, red, black. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm actually getting.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Get a white, red, black, yellow candle.
White,
Okay.
red.
4 candles. White, red, black, yellow. You want to take your white candle. You want to pray over that white candle, and you want to tell your ancestors that you want them to shine as brightly as this white candle, as brightly as a beacon in the night sky. And you want to tell them that you need them to shine brightly to clear the way or to show the pathway to your nephew, because you're sending them to go get him. You need to tell them that somebody is coming or someone has come. You need to tell them that. And that they need to go get him.
I have a question.
And give me 1 second. Hold up. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. And you need to tell them that when they reach him, that he will be in a state of shock, in a state of sort of bewilderment. And that they need to let him know what has happened, to let him know that they've come to bring him home or to bring him amongst them, and for them to keep him safe. And then you want to light that white candle. Then you want to take your red candle.
Yep.
And you want to tell them that you're giving them this red candle to strengthen them, to go and to fulfill your request. And then you want to take the flame from that white candle. No, yeah, take the flame from the white candle to light the red candle.
Strengthening.
Huh. Now you want to go to your black candle. And you want to pray over that black candle. And you want to tell them that you want to say that you're offering this black candle in order to bring light where there's darkness, to bring clarity where there's confusion. To bring hope where there is hopelessness. And these are all the things, these are all the states that I see your nephew in.
Yeah.
So you want to counter all of those states.
I know he was confused because it was a hit and run. He didn't know.
And you want to also say that you want to clear, the confusion so the unspoken can be spoken, because there's something that he wants to say. And it's not coming from a place of sadness. So he's not sad. There's something that he needs to say to his mother, or his primary female caregiver, or his mother, somebody like that.
Yeah.
And did he have a brother?
Yes.
And to his brother, the one that whichever, was he the closest to the youngest one? Which one was he closest to?
He was closest to the oldest one, my nephew that's here.
Okay, whichever one that he was the closest to, that's the one he had something to say to. Wait. What's his relationship to the youngest one? Because they keep pointing at him.
The younger one?
Yeah.
Well, they all live in Connecticut. I mean, they're all very close. And my nephew here is the one that's the furthest away, but the one who was always tried to be there to save him from drugs and whatever. But they're all very close. They look so much alike, it's crazy, all of them. You know.
Okay, that youngest one is actually, that's the one they keep pointing at.
Okay.
So it's something that he needs to, he's gonna go to him and say something to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Now, once you've done that, you want to take the flame from the red candle and light the black candle.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to this yellow candle, the yellow candle is going to be for him specifically. And you want to talk about that yellow candle clearing that pathway between those ancestors that are coming and him. And you want him to shine as brightly as the stars in the heavens so that they can see him.
So that he can be seen by the ancestors, or
yes, yeah,
by the
so,
ancestors. Okay.
yeah, so they can see him. Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, you know, when you think of ancestors, I'm just caught because usually think like my father. He was 86, and he died in 2014. My grandmother, she's been gone for 35 years. So the people you think as ancestors are people that are far removed and away, but you still consider them the ancestors. But you knocked everybody for a loop because he's 33 years old and it just happened. So he's brand new to this.
Right.
So, and to call him an ancestor, being so young, so new, just a week old in this process, has just floored everybody.
yes, and after I give you this ritual, I'll address that. So give me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you want to take, and with that yellow candle, you want to talk about, you want to tell him that it's kind of like they're saying that, tell him that it's okay to deliver those messages, or go ahead and deliver those messages, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That he needs to give to his mother and to that brother. But whatever he tells that younger brother is not just going to be for him. It's like he's giving him a message to deliver. Does that make sense?
Say it again.
He's going to give that younger brother a message to deliver. So it is not a personal message necessarily to the younger brother.
Oh.
He's going to tell him something to deliver. He's going to communicate whatever he's going to communicate to him. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when Gordon talks to the younger brother,
give me 1 second. Hold up a second. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
Tell me about his father. Is his father living?
Big Tommy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the health of his father?
That I like his health. I really don't know. He's been married 4 times, so I'm thinking that he's doing okay. I don't know. I don't know that much about his physical health.
Okay.
I can find out, but I don't know.
In your prayer, you need to pray for his father, because his father is standing next to him. That's why I asked that question.
Uh-huh.
And they're saying that his father is possibly soon to follow him, or that's a good way to translate what I see.
Yeah.
That's why I asked about his father.
Yes. Okay.
So pray for his father.
Mm-hmm. Oh, brother. Yeah.
And they're pointing at his father's chest. That's what they're pointing at.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So do that. Okay. Give me a second. When you do, okay, add an additional red candle. So you're going to add an additional red candle, and that red candle is going to be for his father, and you pray for his father's health. You pray for his well-being. You
Okay.
pray that his father recognizes that he needs like medical help. That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Because if not, his father's going to have a stroke. I can just tell you that.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And it's not going to be good.
Yep.
It's going to be a series of strokes.
Mm.
That's a better way to put it. And so take that red candle and you pray for that.
Okay.
And then you can light the yellow candle with the flame from the white candle. I mean, excuse me, flame from the black candle. Okay.
What candle? The second red candle is lit with what?
No, I was just talking about the yellow candle. And then the second red candle.
Right.
Light that with the flame from that black candle.
From the black. Okay.
Yes. And it's so yeah, just do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, you were gonna ask a question.
No, it was just that you answered it about 15 minutes ago when you said the wait the 40 days. So is it the month first for the mother's side to do it if they were theoretically doing this, and then another week for the father's side, and that almost was a month there, and then another month. So you said to wait, so that'll be 2 months to wait before.
No, just do 40 days because we're not performing those ceremonies yet. We're building up to being in a place where we can begin to perform those ceremonies. And so for now, just 40 days is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, just how soon do you begin talking to them, accessing them, putting them to work, you know, all of that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was it. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Hold up one.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is the nephew when I had a divination where you said that he is the one who's going to fall apart when my mother, his grandmother, passes.
Uh-huh.
I remember you.
Okay, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. So this is his stepbrother.
Okay.
Oh, blood. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay. So now, in regards to ancestors, for the most part, most people who transition, at the time in which they've transitioned, they have actually lived a full life. One of the traps that we fall into is determining what a full life is. When you have come, for most people, there are people who actually transition prematurely, so I'll be clear about that. But most people, when you have fulfilled your purpose, you actually serve no other purpose to be here. And so many times we'll transition. And so that's why sometimes I'll never forget this guy. I should have written down the name of these books these series of books that he's written. He'd always wanted to write a certain series of books for as long, like pretty much all of his adult life. And even as a child, he wanted to be an author, but he kind of started narrowing it down as an adult. He got married and he had a son. He said his son lived for 2 days and transitioned. And of course he grieved and, he went through that entire process. However, if his son had never come and transitioned, he would never have began to write those books that have changed so many people's lives. So he became very clear that the purpose in which his son served was to come here 2 days, transition, so then that would prompt him or motivate him or move him to begin to fulfill his purpose. His son's purpose was only to be here for 2 days, live, transition, and go back to the world of ancestors. That was his purpose. And so his son actually lived a full life. But sometimes that's difficult for us to comprehend because someone has already dictated to us what a full life looks like. And so we're not the people, we're not the authors of what that is, and we don't determine what a full life is. Full life is predicated generally around whether or not you fulfilled your purpose. That's when you know you've lived a full life. Period. So, there was someone else that had a question while
it was me.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So the question is, you and I have talked, and I told you I actually have several initiations. I was crowned Shango Santera probably like 12 years ago. And so I have been developing relationships with my ancestors for a long time and sort of subscribing to traditions that are kind of a fusion of, I guess, Eurocentric ideas and Yoruba ideas about communication with ancestry. But my ancestors were never properly dealt with at the time of my coronation. It's sort of an order. You're supposed to deal with your ancestors first and get all that ironed out, and then you go deal with Orisha. But at the time, I really didn't know the way that happened. It was just, I went from knowing nothing to full asiento in 6 months. It's just the way it happened. So I have certain traditions, ideas, small things I've been taught about how to communicate with my ancestors that are some are similar, but a lot of them are different than the things that you have described. And so one of the things I have in my house is a boveda, which is an altar to ancestors. It has like photos, but we use glasses of water in numerical formation. And so I was wondering, now that I am studying this other channel of communication, do these things conflict? Am I going to need to give up something or relinquish something? Like, I heard you saying that you're really only supposed to use vessels made out of natural materials, like hikaras, which I have tons of those in the house because I already use them for all kinds of ceremonial things. But I also use glass, which is not really a natural subject. So I was just wondering, do these systems conflict in some kind of way where I need to be aware of, or I need to?
So in regards to ancestral communication, most things that are prescribed actually work because they're coming out of whatever tradition they come out of.
Right.
The main time that you will come into like a conflict is really when you begin to work with various other spirits. That's when there may be conflict that occur or conflicts that occur. But when it comes down to acknowledging your ancestors, when it comes down to developing a relationship with those ancestors, there are, for every ethnic group that exists, there is a method that exists. And those methods were given to those ethnic groups specifically because those are the methods that work best for them. That's all. And so those methods of work, and there's not conflict that works when it comes down to like communicating with your ancestors. It's just a method in which you communicate with them. In the same way, I mentioned, like, there's two primary methods that I use. It's bowl and water, then there's ash, water, rock, and stick. And so those are.
So it's fine to still incorporate the habits I already have and just add to it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
That was what I was trying to get to. I'm sorry that I took the long way, but.
No worries, none at all. Okay. Good question. Good question. Okay. Anyone else has any other questions about anything we have discussed up to this point?
Yeah, I have a question. When you call on your ancestors, is it okay to call them when you meditate?
Sure.
Okay.
And then this is, and I laughed a little bit because and you'll see as you go along this process, you will begin to learn how a lot of things or a lot of methods that we have been taught, we actually don't necessarily need to practice them. I'm not saying don't practice them, because actually they serve a purpose. Because I have yet to ever see or hear my ancestors, but my elders talk about meditating. Ever.
Okay.
To sit and watch how they go in and out of the spiritual realm will put you in awe. They don't meditate because they are constantly connected to the other world in a way that they're very present that they are. They will sit there and the phone will ring in the middle of a divination. They will answer, they will be connected to the other world, and a spirit can be downloading a ton of information. They're just talking, and then they'll reach over, grab the phone, answer the phone, have a full-blown conversation, hang up the phone, and pick up where they left off. Literally. And you'll see as you go down this road, you will find that the need to meditate will probably begin to diminish, because you will begin to understand who you truly are. And a lot of the methods in which we practice come out of someone else's tradition, which are things that they need in order for them to connect. I've never seen or heard my elders talk about, we need to light some candles, we need to center ourselves, we need to do, never. They get up in the morning, they go to their shrines, pour libation, pour, do whatever they need to do to get prepped for the day, and that's it, and they go. At the end of the day, there's nothing special that they do to unwind. End of the day, they cut it off, go eat dinner, have conversations, laugh, have fun. It's just a part of their life. It's a part of their being. And so I'm not against meditation. I want to be clear about that. But I know for certain through my personal experience, because I used to meditate, but through my personal experience and watching and speaking with and being with my elders, that's something that they don't do because they don't have to do it. And once I became connected in a certain way, that's the last thing that's ever on my mind, period, to do.
I have that same experience. So, you may also have that same experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're very welcome. So yes, you can call them while you're meditating. That's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
And when I started, I did call them while I was meditating too. So.
Oh, see, there we go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Any other questions from anyone?
Yep. I have another question.
Yes.
Hi. So if you have a relationship or you've been working with your ancestors, at what point do they begin to, or is there a point when they begin to intensify like their outreach, so to speak, their drive or their call to bring you to a particular place? Is there, because I want to say like the last couple of months, I've started to have these like childhood memories of places where I was taken when I was younger. Like I've seen different shrines and things, and I spoke to one of my aunts she's about 80. She's old school from the South, and so I keep sharing with her what I've been seeing, the experiences that I've been having, and her statement to me is, don't try to see anybody's faces, because she's that old memory, you see somebody and you die.
Right.
So,
I remember that.
Yeah, so she's that old school. So she's like, don't try to see nobody's face. And I keep telling her, I could describe, I've described like walking into a particular building with my mom. Both of my parents are deceased. And actually a lot of my people, I've buried a lot of family members personally. And so I've been having these reoccurring experiences where I'm walking through this apartment, I go into the building, I see what it is in New York. The house is blue. I see the man who opens the door. I can't see his face, but I do see like small, like little shrines. I see things hammered on the wall, and then I'm brought into a particular room and I could see the color of the room. I could see, in those old houses, they'll have like little statues in the corner and horseshoes around the room. And then I'm sat on a particular table and I'm describing things to her. And she keeps telling me, well, don't try, go pray, that kind of stuff. And that's just not where I am, as far as that particular, where she's coming from. But so I've been having these much more intensified experiences. So I'm thinking, okay, I know that there's a different call, but I'm not sure, like, okay, what else am I supposed to do with that? There's a lot more I can go into as far as what happens, the experiences, but I just want to know, do they pick up the pace and like, okay, they start calling out and outreaching? Is there a point when that happens?
Yes, absolutely. So what they're doing is that they're actually guiding you down a path. And they're when based upon what you're saying your experiences are, you're actually at the gateway of that path. Meaning you're actually about to step into a whole nother realm, a whole nother world of being, which will actually be in alignment with the true or the fullest expression of who you are. That's a good way to put that. And so it's interesting because your pathway is going to be like, your journey is going to be quick, and it's going to occur as though it's seamless. That's how it's going to occur. because there's so many things that are going to be unlocked, and that there's medicine or gifts that you carry that you have no clue that you have. You don't even know that they exist. They're beyond, right now, like they're beyond your comprehension. But you'll see as you move forward how all of these things are going to begin to be unlocked for you. You'll see. It's interesting. I say you'll see because for me, when I look, it's clear as day what it looks like, and how they're showing an image of you standing at the threshold of this pathway with everything that you need to feel your purpose is like literally on this road, and all you have to do is walk down the road. You don't have to run, you don't have to skip, you don't have to hop, you just walk. And it's right there. And for many of us, the things that we need on our path are right there. But the key is always to listen, regardless of what your personal thoughts are or your feelings are. Listen, because they will always point you in a direction that you need to go in, always. But you know, it's like we're human. And so the greatest gift that human beings have is free will. The greatest curse that human beings have is free will. So it could be our greatest gift, or our free will could be our greatest curse. But we choose which it'll be. It's our choice. That's the beauty of it.
Right. Because in this is the last part, and I'll let someone else have their speech. Because there's certain things that, like certain and I'll probably call to set up a divination, but there's certain things that I have seen, like there's certain dates and informations and things that I've been given. So at this point, like I said, last year, about 2016, my sister was murdered. She was poisoned, and then my mom passed, and then my dad, then my nephew was murdered. So pretty much, I think I'm like down to a family size of 4. So, but there's certain things that I've seen, and it seems like with every particular type of tragedy, so to speak, something else happens, and it's totally different. Like it's things that I can't even explain. Certain things that I've seen that I don't even tell anybody because they will probably think that I've lost my mind staying home alone, so to speak. But so I could feel something, and I was kind of like what you said earlier about one of those people like, well, let me, give me one of these experiences, show me something. And then I had an experience that I didn't know how to handle it. I was calling out some things, and then I felt something literally like land on my bed till my whole bottom of my mattress literally sunk in. I got scared. So I kind of like, but I feel something and I just don't know, so I appreciate I appreciate the class and what will happen, but there's just some things that I think there's nothing else to do but yield to the call, because there's nothing back there to stand outside of, not to move forward. So I appreciate that.
Correct. What do you know about your mother's father's grandmother? I think that's how they're pointing at it.
Well, my mom, my mom's side is Cherokee and Gullah, all the way South Carolina. So I think we trace back all the way to like 1786, Charleston, South Carolina, St. James. Her father, I'm not sure about her grandfather, but I know that there's that line that comes all the way back down, starting at St. James, like some Spanish parish, post or a pre-slavery type situation. But that's where her people originated from, so I was able to trace them all the way up until my grandmother, like finally making her way to New York City, and then my mom being born in New York and then going back to Charleston. But I don't really know anything about her father per se.
Okay. And I asked that question because there's something like a lot of your medicine is coming from there. They just keep pointing at that. So a lot of your medicine is coming directly down through that particular bloodline. But we'll explore that further as we go through the class, because there are homework assignments you'll do that will actually begin to expose all of that, so you can see it clearly. You'll see. Okay, what else you got? Okay, all right, cool. So now, thank you for everybody for your questions and your comments. I appreciate that, because when you ask questions and you make comments, that's the thing that allows me to go deep, because there are things that I'm not thinking about at all. But when you ask a certain question, or you share an experience, or you make a comment about something, that is the thing that allows me to go very deep into a subject matter that I'm not even thinking about at all, because there's no curriculum that I have written down for any of my classes. I let spirit dictate to me what to say. I actually speak to what I call speaking to the listening. And speaking to the listening is speaking to your experiences, speaking to how you are in class. That's what I speak to all the time, is that. So anyway, I'm going to give everyone your first homework assignment. It's going to be a homework assignment. Oh, and also in class, before I go any further, all classes are recorded. And so everybody has access to the recordings. And there's actually someone who takes notes as well. And so the notes are generally posted. The homework is excuse me, the video for the class is posted within 24 hours. The homework is, or the notes from the class, that's posted within 48 hours, and the homework is posted by the next day or something like that. So everything is posted, so you have access to all three of those things. And you're free to take your own notes if you want to. That's fine also. Now, here's your homework assignment. For the next 7 days, what you're gonna do, every morning you get up, you're gonna do an invocation. You're gonna call your ancestors in the way that I described earlier. And you're gonna tell them to walk with you for the day. Not only walk with you for the day, you're gonna tell them to let you know that they're with you. And you're gonna do that every morning for the next 7 days. Pay very close attention to your experience for the day. Pay close attention to the environment. Pay attention to what you feel. The messages that you get. Because sometimes we'll get a directive from them. And then our thoughts about that directive will take over. And then we'll start questioning and interacting with the directive. And so pay very close attention. So every day, every morning, you're gonna do the same thing. This is like the very first assignment. And each assignment, you'll notice every week will build on the previous assignment. Any questions about the homework? All right, excellent. That is all I got. It is now 10:35. So good, this is a fun class. I enjoyed it. I like all the classes, it's gonna be different for certain. There's a certain level, this interesting, what I picked up from this class so far is there's a high level of maturity in the class, meaning that there are a lot of old souls in this class, a lot, more than I have had in any class ever. There's a lot, which is going to make this class very interesting. And you all are gonna give me the space to go deeper than I've gone in any of my ancestor classes, which is great. I can see that already. I'm gonna love it because I love to go deep. One of my favorite things to do. So yeah. Okay, that's all I got. You all have a fantastic evening.
I have one more question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
how do you
and
say
I always
good
like
night?
to say thank you. Oh, I'm gonna say that. Yeah, actually I'm gonna say it in just a second. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the full expression of myself. So I always appreciate that. Because you cannot express your medicine without community. That's impossible. It's like me going around, healing myself. Huh? That's weird. Going around constantly divining on myself. That's weird. So without you all, then I can't express that. Now, this is the word for good night. And you all will, those of you who actually know like an African language, you know how beautiful the language actually is, how poetic the language is. Very beautiful language. All of them are. So this is how you say good night. Good night is Nawuni, Ni. So it's Nawuni, it's Naawuni, Nawuni.
Nawuni.
Ni, Ni. It's the second word. The third word is Ti, Nawuni Niti. So it's Nawuni Niti Biao. And that means may God be with you.
I'm sorry, how do you spell Biao?
I knew someone was gonna ask me that. Yeah. So it's Nawuni Niti B. I actually only know how to spell it like using the traditional letters.
Okay.
Hey Joe, do you know how to spell it using like regular English letters?
Yeah, it's Beigu.
Okay, Beigu. That's the way to spell it.
Nawuni Niti Biao.
Yeah. Biao.
Yeah. Okay. And the answer to that is the same, or?
And the answer to that is Ami, A-M-I. Ami. Yep. So I would say Nawuni Niti Biao.
Ami.
Nawuni Niti Biao.
Ami.
Tall. And tall means okay.
Ami, and then
Tall. Yeah.
Like tall person or?
Tall. It's actually, and you have to give me the English spelling of this, but it's T, and then it's a traditional letter, which is like a backward. It looks like a backward C. That's what it looks like.
Be like a O, but you wouldn't.
Yeah,
say
but it's like
two,
toe.
but it
Yeah,
has
like
an accent on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of like a O with the accent and then a W sound.
Tall.
That's basically like.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Oh, okay, tall. Okay.
Tall, yeah. That means okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.